Hey guys, VaulSC here, hope that you're doing well. Today I'm going to take you through a tutorial which will show you how to use our collection of 3D miniatures for Infinity in Tabletop Simulator. This is going to be an extremely easy tutorial that, to be honest, most of you already know how to do this. But I wanted to put up the tutorial anyway just because I know that there are a few people out there who still are struggling to get up to speed with this particular project we have and still are just using the 2D miniatures for their games, which is fine. The 2D miniatures are great. But there are a few people out there who would rather use the 3D miniatures that just don't really have the knowledge or understanding as to what to do. So just keep watching. It's extremely easy. This shouldn't be a long video, but I just want to take you through the absolute basics. Okay, so what we're going to be able to need to do is come to this workshop here, this mod within Tabletop Simulator, and to do that you'll click the button, the link in the video description, which will take you to this Steam website page here, and you simply subscribe to it. There'll be a little button where you can click subscribe, and that will mean that it's going to show up in your Tabletop Simulator menu next time you load up TTS. So once you've done that, you go into TTS and you go up to Games, and then you come down to Workshop, and it should be here on your list. In my case, it's the fourth from the latest one, since I've subscribed to a few mods since then. You simply click on it and it will load. Depending on your computer hardware and your internet connection, it might take a little while or load up very quickly, because many of the 3D renders and miniatures and objects here are actually out preloaded on the table rather than in bags, but the majority of the models are bagged up. So we're talking over 500 models in the collection now. By the way, you know, the bags themselves simply contain the links to the parts of the Steam website, the cloud, where the models are actually hosted. So that's why nothing loads up when you've just got the bag in the table. But as soon as you open the bag, it will actually start to pre-render those models and load them up. I don't know if pre-render is the right term, but I just chose it anyway. So how do you put together a list then? So as usual, you'd go to Army 6 and you'd work something out here. I'm going to choose Ikari Company as an example, and this is a good example because Ikari uses miniatures from a variety of different factions. One change we made recently with the mod that I did today was I removed the big black box which contained all of the collection, and I split it out into 8 boxes here. So we bundled NA2 and Tohara all into one box, and then LF and O12 are in the same box, but all of the other major factions are in their own sort of area. If you right click one of the boxes and search, it'll bring up, you know, the list again. It might take a while to load, and you can see my frame rate dropping as I'm doing this, but once you've loaded that up, you see a collection which relates to NA2 and Tohara, and then you can sort of just bring them out as you like. So you just drag and drop with the left click and you've got it in here, and that's a great way of just seeing everybody's work up close and personal and deciding what you want to use in your collection, right? And then left click, bring it back, or just delete it. Every time you reload the model, it will just revert back to its you know, its basic natural state. So you can, if you accidentally delete things, you can come back and grab them. So we'll have our army list open. Here we can see we've got, we're going to be looking for a link team of Kaisotsus. That's going to be in the NA2 section with the Tankos Brawler. We don't have a Brawler model available, so what we're going to be able to do is proxy that, and I'll show you guys how to do that. Same with the Brawler model Sniper. I believe we do have a Pangolin Hacker. Plenty of Liberto options, so I've got enough Yuan ones to have one different sculpt per Yuan one, which is going to be great. Ninja, I've got a few of those. There's a Desperado in there now. Recently we added the Tokusetsu Doctor. Plenty of Crackpot options. Fugazi's in there now, and Warcore, we have a great Warcore. So we'll go and see if we can start compiling them. Now the way I like to do this is you come up to Objects here and then go down to Components, or up to Components, and go down to Tools. Then you can select the bag option. Just left click with your mouse click, left click, drag and drop, and this is going to ready ourselves a bag. Now, the slow way to do this, but the more thorough way to do this, is just look around carefully at everybody's collections and open each individual bag and just see what everybody's got, and, you know, really appreciate everybody's work. But if you don't have time for that, if you want to move along a bit more quickly, let's go straight over to here. So I'm just holding down left click to move my bag and just dropping it, and we're just going to open up the NA2 part and just to see what kind of stuff we can assemble right off the bat for this this list. Okay, so we're going to need a Libertos, but that's only one Libertos option, so we may delete him later. I've got a Tanko here, but this is a Tanko prepared by me earlier. It's not really the best render. I did a little bit better when we came to Photoshop, but what we'll find soon is that there are a few other Tanko options there as well. Here's an authorized bounty hunter sniper, but we'll soon see that that can be converted into a brawler instead. And in fact, Corvus Belli gave us this really cool bounty hunter sniper, so why don't we just use that? Because that's a really cool sculpt. That's going to be our brawler sniper for our Ikari game, right? And you've got a Crackpot Renegade here with 2 SMGs. We can copy the text for a single SMG or just update it, or we can find one which already has that on it. As you can see here, there's another Tanko option. So if you like the brightly colored Tankos, that could potentially be the Tanko that we use for our Harris team. As you can see, there are a couple of Yuan here, so we'll just put them to one side in case we decide to use them for our Yuan group. Here's another Libertos, which is a bit more faithful to the actual model, but we'll see that I think Corvus Belli's added a new one recently, which is really, really cool. So I like to use the best available sculpt, unless you want to be a bit more diverse and change it up every game. So this is probably the best one we've got here. Carlos Bostria gave us that one recently, so that's going to be our Libertos. And everything else here is spiral, so I'm just going to scroll down. Didn't take Yojimbo this game, I believe, so let's see what else we can get there. We're going to need some Kaisotsus, because that's going to be in our Kaisotsu link team, so these guys will do nicely. I might even take this one as well, because we need 3 Kaisotsus, and what I can do is I can just paste the text over. If we look at it, one's a forward observer, so given that that's actually a Kempaitai and is physically a lot different from these two, we can make that the forward observer. And remember, I'll be showing you later how you can just copy paste the text, but you can also just right click this and start updating it manually if you want to. Another Crackpot Renegade, and this one looks a bit more appropriate because it has the single SMG, so I might just take this one and put this one back. More Tankos, so again, if you prefer the red theme, you've got all these Tanko options here, and I think that's really cool. Just depending on your personal color taste, you can go for one of these if you want to, and put that in as the model that you're going to be using. Let's go with the red ones now, just because the guy who's made these has actually got the 2 sculpts in the same kind of coordinated color, so that's looking really, really cool. We will need the missile launcher as well, so I think that's probably the most appropriate way of doing it. Get the 3 color-coded Tankos out. We will need the Tokusetsu Doctor. We had that in the list. It's looking really good. And yeah, we've got the Crackpot Renegade. Here's another Crackpot Renegade option. As you can tell, the paint jobs on these are both really, really good, but different. This is the newest one, and I love the shading on this, so I'm going to give this one back and take that Crackpot as our Crackpot. Did we even put a Crackpot in the list? Yeah, single SMG Crackpot. That's fine. Okay, so that's almost it for NA2. We do have the Tokusetsu. In fact, there's a couple of Tokusetsu options here. There's Antisocial Scars one, and there's Zaps one, I think. Just to be a bit different, we'll use this one. Yeah, we had a Nauf as well. That could equally well be our Brawler Sniper. It doesn't have to. And then we're pretty much good. There's another Libertos, but we've already got the Corvus Belli one in there, so that should do fine. So I'll just put these Libertos back. That's looking really, really good. I may not have copied. Oh, I did. There's a Yuan here. That's a Yuan contributed by me, and just so they all look different and characterful, I'm going to use a different sculpt for each one. Remember, Yuans work for NA2 factions, but also for Kapu Kalki, so it's possible that you may be looking for a model and not find it. If you can't, don't hesitate to have a look at the other the bags. There's my frame rate crashing very briefly as we bring this over here. So here you go. Here's a Yuan, which we didn't find in the NA2. I should probably make copies of it, but still, that can be our 4th Yuan if you see that. Okay, we're probably going to need some more bits and pieces. Did we take... Oh, wait, there's a bike in there. Desperado. We're going to need something to represent a brawler. So one of these Huck models would be fine for that. But why don't we just jump on in to Pan-Oceania? Just because Brawler's a ballistic skill 12, so I quite like that. We could just put a basic Fusilier that I've painted, although the color looks very... it really pops out compared to the rest of the selection there. We could take one of Wonderslug's guys. That's a bit paler and lighter and a bit more appropriate, a bit closer to the look of the Kaisotsus, which I think is really, really cool. Or we could just take more of Sangan's bits and pieces. The scale of that to Bipanda is quite big. It's alright, it still looks really good. Fusilier combi, so that would also make a decent brawler as well, but I'm just going to go with Wonderslug's brawler because it's nicely scaled with everything else, and the colours kind of complement what we've going on there. You can easily tell the difference between the Kaisotsu and the brawler from a distance, so that looks really, really cool. Now I'm just going to dip into the Ariadne box here and just search that. Again, it takes a little while to load everything up. It's quicker now that I've split everything into those groups. So I've made a Desperado here based on the Bounty Hunter. So that's not the official model, but if we look carefully, we should be able to find an official bounty, a Desperado in here. So we've got this one, and we've got this one. I'm using the one with 2 assault pistols. I don't know if my Desperado actually has a shotgun of any kind. 2 assault pistols. Yeah, I know this guy doesn't look like he's holding an assault pistol, but it's more pistol-y, it's more appropriate, so I'm just going to put that back and grab that there. While I'm here, just going to grab the War Core, although for me, at the moment, the choice between War Cores is either between that one or the left box. Frame rate drop. Okay. And then, as you can see here, we've got a really cool War Core like that. I love it how the actual aerocam is floating around. So that I'm sold on that. We're just going to take that and put this back in the Ariadne box, or even just delete it, whatever. How are we looking for lists? So we got the Kaisotsus, Tanko Missile, Brawler Lieutenant. Yep, Brawler Sniper. That's in there. The Tankos, Pangolin Hacker. Yeah, we need one of those. Let's go to the Yuching box and we'll open up. Pangolin is a Yuching thing, and remember what you can do is actually search if you got in a particularly big box. There we go. So this is one that was contributed by me pretty early on. There we go. It's a little bit bright, but looks pretty appropriate for a Pangolin, and the text is already there. So I think that's just about everything. Oh no, we need a ninja as well. So ninjas do work for NA2, and I think there is one ninja in there, but there's a couple of choices. Again, if we just search. You guys might remember the basic tutorial ninja, which everybody did, which looks like this from the how-to. But then we have a little bit of a cleaner ninja. So just since I'm so sick of seeing my own ninja all the time, I'm just going to grab somebody else's ninja. We'll put that in there. And are we done yet? Desperado, Ninja, Doctor, Crackpot, Fugazi. Just the one more thing. So if I just dip into Pano again, we did add a Fugazi drone bot recently, so that is looking really cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and just swipe all of these and just drag and drop them into our bag. And drag and drop that, and I'm just going to give it a name, VaulSC Ikari. And then I'm just going to right click it and go save object. There we go, done. Now before we play our game, we want to tidy a few things up with the text. So if you go up to Games and Workshop, everybody should have already subscribed to the main Infinity the Game base mod. That's really important. You can easily find it searching on the list. You're probably not going to be playing Infinity and TTS without this this mod enabled. So make sure you get that, and that brings you into this empty room here. What we can then do is go to our saved objects, bring out the Ikari bag that we just made, and we'll grab everything out again. So just left click, drag and drop into the table. It's looking nice and easy. One thing I like to do before I bring them into a game is to coordinate the color, just to make sure that you're showing a really cohesive army and you can tell your models apart from your opponent's ones. You don't have to pick the color of your faction, but if you're playing Yuching, you'd normally just go orange. But what we can do is we can just left click and drag them all, and after they're all group selected, we right click on one of them, go color tint, and you can choose any color under the rainbow. And I recommend that you start doing this because it does make the game you're about to play nice and individual. What if we just take really like light brown, orangey brown, I don't know, something like that. So now everything's got that orangey tint to it. What you can do further to that is check out who's in group 2. So the Yuan Yuans and the Ninja. So if I just put them to one side, we can then color tint them a different color. So our opponent, and we do want to be as fair as possible to our opponent here. Our opponent will actually get to see what's visibly in group 2. So Desperado, Dr. Crackpot, there it is, Dr. Desperado and Crackpot, there it is there. Who else did we take? Fugazi and Walker. Okay. And there should be 10 guys in group 1. So this was our Brawler Harris, like that, with the bounty hunter, the Brawler Sniper. Then there's the Link team with the Kaisotsus and the Fugazi, like this. It's not Fugazi, the Brawler, the Pano Brawler, and the Missile Launcher, of course, plus the... I've still got that bike in there, that should have been deleted. Pangolin and Liberto. That actually looks correct because there's 5 there and then 5 there, that's 10, and then everybody else is in that second group. So yeah, first group had the Harris, the Pangolin and the Liberto. Great, so what you can then do is you can select just group 2, right click this and choose a bit of a different shade of it if you want. So I could just take a very light color. Now if you look at them visually, these guys over here have a very light brown, that's going to be our group 2. And then over here, everybody's just completely orange, so our opponent's always going to know without even having to ask which group people are in, which is a really good thing for etiquette. It's really you know, an honorable thing to do to make life easier for your opponent anytime. Now, there are still some problems. If you mouse over this, it still says authorized bounty hunter sniper. So what you could do is we want it to be a brawler sniper. We could right click it and manually enter that in. But an even easier way of doing it is just to go over to, say, the Akari Company box. I like to hit L to unlock that, hold down left click for a little while and just drag it over here. And then what I'm going to do is find the 2D model of it. So if I just go up here for Brawler, I've got a Brawler MSV2 Sniper, and I'm going to find a Rifle Light Shotgun because that's going to be our Lieutenant. And the way to do this is just to bring over your guy, and we're just going to change the text. So right-clicking the Brawler, clicking somewhere in the description field, the heading, and I'm going to go Control-A to click it all, and go Copy. And then same thing on this guy, right-click him, over here, Control-A, and then Delete to get rid of the text, and then Control-V to bring in the text from that, two-dimensional model over to this model. So now our opponent, even though they see a bounty hunter, they know that the bounty hunter can't link with the Tanko, so they're going to go, well, what's that then? So they just hover their mouse button over it, and they see a Brawler Sniper. Unfortunately, the rest of the text is still not correct, so what you do there is you right-click that, left-click down here, Control-All, that'll get the body of that. Right-click this, left-click this, Control-A, Delete, and Control-V. The only thing with that is that in your actual game, your opponent's not going to see who painted it, but that's okay. It's all right to just have the painting credits in the actual workshop showroom itself, and not actually out on the board, unless you're like me and you really want to just make sure it's everywhere. Just going to show you that process again for this Fusilier, just so that I know that you've got it. Right-click Brawler, left-click Control-A, Control-C. Right-click this, Control-A, Delete, and then Control-V, and we're a Brawler now. And right-click that, Control-A in the text field, right-click that, Control-A, Delete, Control-V, it's in there. We hover our mouse button over, and we're seeing the stats for a Brawler now, which is really good. The actual colors are not changed. If you really want to be a perfectionist about it, you could turn everything into a silhouette and change the color manually that way. So we've got group 1 over here. If we just grab everybody like that, we could just manually change the color tint. That can be quite important if you are laying a lot of camouflage markers out in the field. So you don't really want to give it away that your Liberto is actually, you know, the Liberto and the mine's something else. So what we're going to be doing is, before we play the game, is we're going to go over to deployables and open this bag, left click the mine to bring it out. And then we're going to turn the mine into a camo marker. And we're going to repeat that process where we grab group 1. Let me just get rid of these guys here. So this was our group 1, wasn't it? There it is there. 5, 5, 5. And it's the mine. Let's make sure this is correct. So That's the Harris. That's the Link team. So 8, 9, 10. Yep. So I'm going to turn that into the camo marker state, and same with the Liberto. And I'm just going to right click everybody and color tint them again. So we'll just pick our color that we wanted. Let's make it a gray. Doesn't really matter. And now you can see the mine and the Liberto are the same color tint. So when you deploy them, your opponent's not going to know what color what color gives away the actual real model, right? If that makes sense. So that's something I like to do before I go and play. And now what you can do is you can drag the mine and everything else back into the bag. So I won't show it in this video, but what you can of course do is just update the text for the Crackpot Renegade in the same way, and you know, with your loadouts for your Yuans and your Desperado, everything will be done according to what we just did there. And then of course grabbing everything you can in one group and just left click, drag it over and drop it in the bag. Right click the bag, save object, save, done. Then of course when you show up to play your league game, easy as, obviously load up the table, show up in your room. Don't load the bag until you've determined which table side you're on and you know who's playing first and second. But let's say that's been resolved and it happens that I'm the blue player. Then I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to unload my bag into this once my opponent's chosen their table side. And when it's my turn to deploy, or even before I'm ready to deploy, I'm just going to bring everything out like this, even the mine. And that's going to make sure that nothing can be seen while it's inside this blue area, so your opponent doesn't know what's coming. Then when it's your turn to put stuff out in the field, you might leave the reserve trooper way in the corner. So let's say the reserve trooper is Tanko missile launcher for some reason. Then the rest of your army is in here, so you change your mine back to camo state. Same with the Libertos, and you just grab the whole group, bring them out over here. So your Tanko hanging back, and then you simply just start deploying from this group. Of course, if you forget which camo marker's which, you'd obviously bring that back into the zone here. Just check it. Yep, that's the Libertos, so I'm just going to leave that right here. Work out where my mine's going to be deployed, so maybe he's going to go there, and Libertos can just go somewhere else, and you just start dragging and dropping your guys. And of course the Ninja, same deal, it's going to have the tintable state as well. Going to leave our Yuan ones off the table, so rather than dragging them as a group, they'd be staying back for obvious reasons. They only come in once we spend the Impetuous Order on them. But simple as that. I hope you guys start using more 3D miniatures, because we've been working really hard on them, and we've started to get a group of guys together for all of the factions. Yuching has the most stuff, followed by Aleph at the moment, or it might even be the other way around now, but really enjoying the added visual appeal that this collection's been providing to games, and it's been lovely for streaming and everything like that as well. And look, we're not going to be stopping. We're continuing to add stuff to the workshop all the time, and God, some of them look really, really good. The sculpting and the post editing in Photoshop and Lightroom, and the photography has been really excellent. Alright guys, well that's been a tutorial about how to use the 3D miniatures in your games, so please do use them in your games because they are fantastic. See you again soon.